Hey, good morning, everybody. Cool. Hey, good morning, Mike. How's it going? All right, a few minutes till we open. All right, once again, we've already delivered into our buy side objective before the morning open. So as we kind of speak about, that's really the expectation when we're choppy like this. We'll consolidate during the day. Overnight, we'll run into liquidity. So pretty much what we had yesterday. Consolidated in the morning. We ran into that buy side already. Same idea. Here off the opening, though, we actually just kind of deliver straight into that. And now we're just consolidating at that old high. We did get into our daily fair value gap, just barely. We spoke about how that would kind of be our objective, right, on a daily sense. Because of that, wouldn't mind a slight reversal at this point. We'll see. So we've opened up now. We'll take a look real quick. Opening range gap here. What my expectation would be if we're going to want to see lower prices is for price to run up first, retest this daily fair value gap and clear this buy side. And then from there, I'd actually look to try to go short. That's kind of what the expectation would be. Because yeah, we're going to need... I mean, we could go higher, but at this point, we've already delivered into that. I'd rather try to catch something lower. You want to short into? Yeah, that's a good target. If we're going to want to revisit opening range, get down into new day opening gap. So it's actually just a 1 hour swing point. What's the actual... Okay, so we have two 1 hour swing points. So this is actually the 4 hour swing here. This is a 1 hour buy side pull. So that's what we've been consolidating around. I want us to get back into this though. So this would be two areas of buy side. Trade up into that and then we'll look for the reversal. Maybe a little shorter today as far as stream. I have to actually be gone by 10 o'clock. Eastern, or wait, no, my time. So it'll be 11 o'clock Eastern. I have a meeting scheduled. So we'll probably end about 10:45, 10:50 today. That'd be a good rejection point. That quadrant for sure. Lower quadrant. we get above that, I'd probably expect midpoint, so we could use that. Let the anatomy of those fair value gaps give good indications of where price is going to go. So if our expectation is we want to run this high and break, we wouldn't want to see price get above that. If we do, we'll probably run into its midpoint. But honestly, I think it's just going to be ugly. Another ugly opening. Right, when we're delivering into swing points, daily objectives before the opening bell. Opening bell will be pretty choppy. Opening morning, we can expect. Hey, I get you. Same thing. Quadrant quarter level. Same. So let's see. If we had to pick, honestly, off rip here. Expectation, right? Choppy opening. We're stuck between 830 and our opening range. As far as what we've already done, after clearing these highs, we actually did wick out the lows. Right, retesting previous day's high and hitting a first presented. So because that was the most recent kind of manipulation, I actually would want to see and expect buy side should be the first target. So I'd want to see pretty much opening range gap hold. If anything, right, we have like this little displacement. We often say if we create wicks like this and then we trade and close above the wick itself can be seen as a gap. Right, so I'm looking at both of these areas really combined and saying, okay, because it's going to be choppy, we could wick in here quite a bit. But as long as we can hold these lows, I'd like to see us close above 830, run out that buy side, and then from there, try to get something, a reversal. So far, NQ kind of all over the place as well. It's kind of been what we've been seeing, right? Not moving in tandem very much. NQ already cleared that low. It's holding its first presented, so if I can hold that and accelerate, especially because it did clear that low, right? As we spoke about in ES, we'd want to see ES try to get above 830 or reach for buy side again, and then from there, look for a break. Yeah, create a little wick on the new candlestick, run the highs. Reject, break, test midpoint, midnight again. That'd be nice indeed, for sure, yeah. But yeah, we may expect another slow opening. 830 really acting, right? Body's struggling to get above, keep wicking the highs. Would pretty much want bodies to try to remain above that at this point. Maybe retest opening range. I would not hold any really hard bias or hard analysis in a morning like this. If anything, we'll kind of see choppiness until about 10:30, and then if price is going to move, that's when we would expect that. NQ dumping pretty aggressively. Move all this. So if 830 ends up holding us and we can't actually, right, we kind of create a little 3 drives here. 3 swing highs all being cleared with wicks. If we were to break below that fair value gap, my expectation would be retest of the first presented. And this may be all price wants to do as far as buy side running. We have a first presented here in NQ. We'll see if that wants to offer us lower prices, or if it's going to be inverted, which should lift ES again. Yep, 830 test, hard rejection. So yeah, right now 830, line in the sand. Right, we do not want to get above that level. If we reject from that, close inside opening range, I'd almost want to see if opening range is going to hold for a quick leg move or a move lower. Right, this wick goes back into that fair value gap. So we created a little bearish fair value gap, wicks into the fair value gap, and 830 holds it, closing inside opening range. First time since the opening. Right, so far we've been wicking it, so if we're going to close inside, my expectation would be a little deeper pullback into it. Right now we are at that 1 minute fair value gap that we had mentioned. So we'll see if we're going to fall through that or if we just kind of stay stuck in the choppiness here, back and forth. As we spoke about, NQ is created and first presented already as well. Here, that's what we've traded up into. We'll see if that's going to hold for another down leg, potentially getting midnight level. We've already hit midpoint of this opening range here in NQ. So it could bounce from here potentially. See if we invert the first presented. And then maybe able to come for 830. Right, especially if ES immediately bounces from discount. So we'll see if ES can retest 830 again. As soon as we get a closure above that, to me would set into motion a run into buy side. Especially because we've been unable to do that, price showing an unwillingness to close above that level. So if we were to get a candlestick to close above, should lead to another run. Cool. So we are holding that. Nice. See if we run the highs, then we'll look for the reversal. We'll have relative equal lows. We left these relative equal lows. Almost trying to think of a turtle soup. Is there? Let's go. I'm going to see if there's any like structure, lower time frame within this. We're going to have to go to like an hour first. Way back. Gotta go way back. I don't know if we even be able to go that far back. Oh my goodness. Nope, can't do it. Shame. 15. Just looking for some structure, like if we're gonna turtle soup. Oh, there's nothing in here actually. Okay. So on these lower time frames, right, this whole fair value gap is really unfilled, which will make it a little bit tough if we're gonna try to turtle soup. I like this. That's about the quarter level. That would get us okay. One, two, three, 5. We can wait for confirmation. $830 still acting up. What's our range here? Let's see, 5. Okay. NQ did hold its first presented. with the bodies. We hit the high of it, breaking lower now, closing back below midpoint. Yeah, the 830 level is saying, nah, we ain't going up. See if we fall through. If we fall through the fair value gap, that's when I'd start looking for lower delivery. But as we said, very choppy opening expected. So not getting shaken out by this so far. NQ delivering a little bit nicer. Clears the short-term low again. NQ delivers into its midnight point exactly. Perfect delivery. Love it, love it, love it. Yeah, not much to talk to here in this type of delivery. We just got to watch. All right, NQ a little bit cleaner, so NQ's first presented. But sweeping this low like this, holding midnight in a choppy market, I'd almost want to see if that's going to invert now and come back up for some highs. Potentially 830. Especially if ES can hold that, right? If ES keeps holding this opening range, we want to see it make an attempt. All right, so watch, this will be interesting. First candlestick to close on 830. Since the opening, all bodies have been hovering. Body closes on it, opens with a bullish volume balance. If that stays open, we'll get a closure above 830. We're placing it with a discount. That should hold us into the buy side that we're looking for, in my opinion. All right, well, NQ, as we said, sweeps the low. If we invert first presented, should be able to also run for some short-term highs, I would guess, in my opinion here. We do have another first presented, so they're kind of overlapped. If we're going to say be choppy, right, we could see miniature seek and destroy within this. But I'd almost expect, yeah, if we leave this open, I'd want to see one more push, which would get NQ to invert that first presented. Wow, okay. So hard rejection, once again, as we said, if we're going to seek and destroy, we wick the high, break lower. Not really convinced with that. Still got to wait for closure below. They are listening. Oh, they're waiting for it. Just choppy. But look how we hold that, right? That's pretty much, yeah, textbook choppiness here. Very volatile. Yep. Volatile, small range. That's the worst scenario. Small range and wiki. Because at least with large ranges, it's worth trying to capture a move here. I guess an NQ, like you could be spamming the first presented and just going for like little end model moves. But that's not necessarily my type of trading. Possible though, if you understand. Even that, like this, right? Wick. We got the closure. We did not get the closure above. So we tried, even though we opened here, closing back below, negates that candle trying to get above. So right back where we are, honestly. Still holding here. 830 rejecting. Sloppy, sloppy, sloppy. Oh, we said, let me get gold. Go ahead. Get that gold working. So we switching it up. Yeah, this is the old barcode. Yeah, I have that here too, actually. That's something I look at every now and then. First presented. Retest first presented into midpoint. There's midpoint, okay. So we get midnight again. We'll see if we keep going lower. As we said in ES, for me, closure below fair value gap, we would expect a run lower. So that's kind of what I'm watching here. Nothing beats, but yeah, save yourself, honestly. If it's like this, no shame in the old paper account if you're still trying to engage. Because even if you do see setups, right, it's very low risk or very high risk, low probability. Switch it. I mean, yeah, look at that. Crazy. So for me, I'm almost just going to wait till 10. Right, you hope 10 o'clock brings some. Get outside the range. For me, I'm fine not doing much until we either engage with the high of the range or break through the fair value gap, push for lows. Because while we're within the middle of it, it's just going to be ugly. Testing again, fair value gap, can't get below it. Perfect delivery into yesterday's high. So that wick is simply just repricing right into yesterday's high. Picking up some short-term lows. That's what I'm trying to see if this can hold now. NQ finding support at its midnight price. So right now, both in a discount, right? Midnight and NQ, fair value gap and ES. Close on the low, close under midpoint. So I'm going to see, does consequent encroachment of this hold? If we're going to close underneath that with the body after respecting it multiple times, the expectation would be that now it's going to be an area of resistance to actually get us outside and below the fair value gap, which would then close below and potentially use it as an inversion. So kind of seeing if that happens, right? We're starting to get the run off midpoint. Retest of previous day's high would kind of be expectation there. Slow fall in NQ. Okay, still moving lower. Good, good, good. Closure below, so yeah, I'd see if that's going to be inversion now to try to go for another run lower. Well, NQ breaks below its midnight level as well. Right, if we can invert that, should use it to push into previous day's low, or previous day's high, excuse me, and then first presented. Equal lows there, should get through it into first presented there. Is that a wick low? Just wicked it, yeah. Closure below, we should keep falling. Perfect closure on it, that's funny. Potentially, we might get our first presented. We'll see if that forms. Wouldn't be surprised to see a retest of this original inversion, however, but let's see what we get. So there's a retest we spoke of. Let's see if we invert that now. I guess reclaim it, right, bullish, or if we can hold. Because we've already tapped it once, deliver into a swing low. So if the objective is to kind of reverse from here, right, that would be inverted. If you actually want to retest though first presented, I still would see this as our area of inversion that should hold price. So now that we're inside of it, we'll see what happens. But let's say we invert that, we have some highs up here now, right? That can be the objective to target. Yeah, you could see that as one, but for me, right, you're looking at 9. I like that to be at least a handle. 4 ticks, that's why it's not showing up. Like you can in theory say that is one, but right, you could immediately see already it's not really being respected in any way. In my mind, it's too small for me to classify as the true first presented. Closure above, nope, closure on the high. So we'll see if we reject from here, but same expectation, right? As we saw here, if we're going to close below midpoint, I would expect it to act as resistance to get us into lows. So now that we've cleared lows, held previous day high, get above midpoint, I'm almost seeing if the same thing will work in reverse, right? It's just going to find support there to make an attempt outside. If we were to displace back below and actually close below this fair value gap again, I'd actually try to see if it would do another run into lows, right? Because now we'll reprice into it, rebalance it. Whereas here, we're hitting the low of it now. If the low holds and we close above, that's going to be more bullish. And it's going to make an attempt to run for some highs. Yep, NQ ripping back up now too as well. Okay, so NQ delivers into pretty much this lower quadrant of the opening range, getting under midnight a little bit. Retesting opening range gap midpoint. NQ stuck inside, or ES, excuse me. So yeah, if we do close above, down close candle created aligned with that fair value gap, that's what we would expect to be a support. Need to depend on the candle closures though. This could all be like a wick high to break lower. Sorry, I neglected you. Oh. NQ running strong. NQ wants to probably get, let's see, into its first presented. Seems to be reaching for that. As we said in ES, if this is to break below, close below, to actually look for another run lower. Into like first presented here, into these lows again, into previous day high. Nope. So we try, so we don't. As long as we're doing this, I almost would expect like a quick acceleration higher. So like if we're going to trade into this, so after clearing liquidity and we're starting to consolidate within inefficiencies like this, if we want to go higher, you usually see a quick aggressive candle that'll run that and then close above. So I'm almost looking to see if that takes place. If this turns into a swing high, then we should see it break out, but I would actually think more than likely it's going to make a pass at that high and try to get outside of this opening range again. So retesting the high, let's see if that becomes a high. Like if that becomes a swing point and price rejects right now quickly, then we would look for it to go lower, but I would expect a run higher at this point. Gotta wait for the closure. Closure determines. Closure above, yep. Closure outside, I'm trying to see. We didn't get outside, but we did close above. So now I'd almost expect that to be an area of support. I'd like to see these highs be cleared. I still want this, right? That's like the original high we wanted to see run first. We came down originally first for liquidity here to retest previous day's high. So now I'd like to see it make an attempt for some buy side, if that's going to be the objective. Want to see if we close above opening range as well. If we do, that may be a long opportunity if we're going to try it to get some highs. Would like to see closure outside of the opening range though, because we could just stay consolidate and stay stuck. Okay, so still holding that. Maybe may want to hold that. Ba-da-ba-bow. 2 minute. Slight volume imbalance. Still no fair value gap. Right, so real ugly, choppy delivery. We had one small one here. As I said, too small for me to really put any emphasis in it, especially because it's right in the middle of this range already. And Q is about to create a breaker here. So in Q getting above first presented, that should allow a run higher. Yep, okay. So above first presented should lift. ES closes above opening range. So at this point, opening range may be what offers support. 2 minute volume bounce right there. 830 being retested. We'll see if it does anything this time. Yeah, if we can reclaim it again, we've already closed above it once, immediately get back below it. So if we can get back above it again, that'd be nice. Cool, okay. So we'll probably keep, let's see, 830. That's gonna be important. Want to get above that. Oh, nice, okay. So we end up running that high. From here, let's see. Wouldn't mind the rejection. He said, bruh. Right, yeah, price is moving funky right now. I mean, it's delivering what we expect, but just, it's moving quick. That's for sure. We'll see if it's going to start running aggressively or not. I think it might hold that, fall right back into the range. Depends on the closure though. Closure above, we leave a fair value gap. We might try that 830s. Not wanting to see a retracement into that. Held that beautifully. So we may not even leave. Let's see if we leave a small fair value up there. Yeah, it's getting rich, baby. Getting rich AF on paper right now. Like, to me, that might be what holds right here. Let's see. Sorry, I neglected you. Yeah, these are days, right? You could have fun in a paper account and not be ashamed. This is where you learn to trade in choppy markets. But I almost like that. Look at the 1 minute fair value gap, K. We displaced above 830 after holding there all morning. Only issue is this right here. That's the higher time frame objective. So it's like, we could really frame it up either way. That could have been a turtle soup. I'd rather still try to get shorts if I'm being honest. I just favor that with where we are. Which means have to wait for closure below 8:30. Yeah, nice. 4 hour doing exactly what we expected. Very true, very true. Right, 10 o'clock. We'd want to see that wick, so wick higher first. Create the wick on the 4 hour, then break, which would be nice. Right, so for me, I want to see this be inverted pretty much 8:30 after clearing out some buy side in here. One more run on that would be okay, but if we were to displace right below 8:30, that might become our protected high. Conversely, if we're wrong, right, that becomes support there. 8:30 holds. We accelerate, if anything, opening range will hold. Like we said, if we're going to get the classic kind of consolidation to run following 10, well, we had our consolidation. We run out short-term lows holding previous day's high. So now from 10 to 11, if the objective is to reach for up here, right, we may see price start moving higher. Start making an attempt at least. NQ also left its opening range. So right now it's in the same spot. It's using its opening range as its support. If it pops up for us here, so we get above it, previous day high, we're using that as support now, right? Which should cause lift, which will probably cause this to lift as well. But for the time being, like that overlapping those two buy side pulls, that's what price is using here. How big was this? Dang, so still, I mean, this one's a little bit more, I'm more willing to use because it's anchored to a time-based PD array, 8:30. But even this is a little too small to truly classify as like the first presented. So yet we have still not formed any true first presented all day. Crazy. But this one I'd be a little bit more willing to trust, right? If our objective and bias was longs. Because now this whole range really is balanced and we've closed above it. I would say from this high to the low really is balanced like this. Right, everything in here has been delivered efficiently, given and taken more than once. So if we truly do want to just push, we won't really need to make an attempt deeper. So that's what I'm monitoring at this point. We did hold that. Potential SMT and NQ ran this high. So if we were to break below 8:30 here, actually, I wouldn't mind potential move lower. Right, quick look, NQ did run that high out. So if we can get a break, that'd be nice. Right, 4 hour wick, 1 hour wick, all the higher time frames, purely wicks. So nothing has closed outside of that range yet. So I wouldn't mind, yeah, falling through 8:30, potentially using that. NQ fighting demons right now, he says. Just seek and destroy. All right, we're trying. We didn't get below. We closed below 8:30. So honestly, that may be what we need. We didn't get below the fair value gap, but 8:30 itself may hold. So watch for that. NQ back underneath previous day high. Right, so we would expect a potential fall here. Trying to see if we're going to close underneath the fair value gap as well. right there. Okay, so we didn't actually get outside the fair value gap. That's what we wanted to see if we were going to try to use that, right, as an inversion. We find support there, make an attempt back above 830. NQ holding at its daily high, previous day's high. See if we get closure below now. Still waiting for that S&T at the highs, so this may be what kind of creates the fall if we're going to do it. It did close below just barely. So now we're just getting a little bit more consolidating here. We did get true closure below this though. Okay, so now I'm going to see, especially because we held the low, we close above, and we close below immediately back under 830. If we're not going to be choppy, we should start running lower. If we are going to maintain just this right choppy delivery, we can actually hold within this area a little bit. We have like a 2 minute, right? So we have multiple discounts on the way up. Price can paint outside the lines. But I wouldn't mind. I'd like to see another run lower from here. Right, we've displaced or interrupted anyways the buy side liquidity. 5 minute, we did trade into the 5 minute fair value gap. Right, so we may see it push higher now. But yeah, at this point, we're just playing back and forth around 830. NAS, NQ, pretty much same spot. It's right at its previous day high. So it was able to get underneath it. It gets back above it. It can't get above its opening range though. So now it's in between previous day high and opening range, right? Which wants to support. Does previous day high support us for another run higher, which would then see ES as well. But right now, a little ugly for sure. After seeing this run though, I would almost favor a run lower, right? Because as we said, we've disrupted and cleared the buy side here. NQ actually creates a little SMT with the most recent swing point high, where ES can't get that high and is holding that area again. So now if we're going to break lower, get under 830, we'd want to see 830 offer resistance to bring price back into its opening range. And then at least I would guess like equilibrium of the current leg, which is here. So at least midpoint, right, which would take out this low. From there, maybe a rejection. But my expectation would be equilibrium of our current range. And then from there, maybe here again. We'll see. Dollar, not much help. Every now and then we'll look at the dollar. Pretty much just range bound, okay? So I'm not putting much emphasis on that. What else do people like? YM, I hate YM. So that looks more bullish. Probably make another pass for the high here. Retesting volume imbalance. We'll see if it gets above. Closure above that, we should run. Holding off of the 5, right? As we said, quick 5 tap, retest, but we'll see. He said getting edge, NQ playing you. Yeah. It did hold that, all right, so previous day high holds. We get outside opening range, so to me, we probably make another pass at this high, potentially 830. ES holds at buy side again, though. So it could reject from there. Daily fair value gap level. Still a wick. So the 15 is about to close. It's going to be a wick into that. So we'll see if the 15 can't break now, right? If that's going to wick like that. 5 minutes, same. So still no higher time frame closure. 2 minute rejection. We'll see if we want to break lower from here and get these lows. Because now the 15-minute candlestick is closed. We might get one more tap of that to create the high of this 15-minute candlestick's wick. And then a break lower would be nice. So watch this. This becomes like the short-term low. We said from this low to high, we have equilibrium. And then we have a little short-term low just above that. So I'm thinking like even if we do want to run higher, it would make sense to pick up this short-term low. Hit this range's equilibrium, even maybe the opening range gap again, and then look for the expansion. As we said, 15-minute, this could be a wick, so I'm not really thrown off quite yet, because this still could just be what we've been seeing, right? A run up into that with a rejection. So we need to wait for closure. Especially because, yeah, we could easily hold that, as we we're saying, creating the wick, followed by a down movement. Closure above, potentially this high, but unless we do that, I would still expect lower prices. Short-term high cleared. Perfect closure on that level. So now to watch for room break. Short-term high cleared. Want to see if we attack this low. Give me 5 minutes. I'll go get some drink. All right. Goodness. Oh, yeah, still there. Yeah, this is expected, though. Expected. Da. Still no first presented. Not surprised. Right, textbook, as we say. If we're delivering into daily objectives before the market opens, consolidation will almost always take place following that. Rule to live by. Mini 3 drives pattern. So if this wicks, I'd expect a break lower, to be honest. You might get outside 10:30 about to take place, so we'll see. Run on that high. I'm almost thinking that's just a false run. Yeah, we close in the range, so I'd almost look for that to retrace now, right? Like sweet turtle soup. We did get closure above the volume imbalance, or excuse me, the buy side pull finally. So we'll see if we leave a fair value gap there, which will allow price to spread its wings a little bit potentially. But yeah, I'm not convinced. If we would have closed above the swing point, then I would trust, but this is more like a run on stops, especially if we don't leave any inefficiency in here. If we do, then this may be the actual first one that we create that could hold. Okay. And did we close above at the same time? And we did. So I'd actually look there. If we can get another run higher. Right, break this down. This quadrant here, potentially, from the low. Yeah, right. If you wanted to look here, you could still say, I mean, it is a fair value gap, so like you could still treat it as a normal fair value gap, right? Which is going to be respected. I'm just not putting much emphasis on it as like a first presented. Just because as soon as it's created, it's immediately invalidated and then traded below and then traded above and then traded below, right? So it's not really showing the same respect that we would see from true first presenteds. And as we spoke about, just a little bit small. Like that one's less than the handle. This one here, same. So that one is one handle exactly, but still, they're very small fair value gaps. Like some here, like I'd only trust maybe like using the old buy side. I guess in theory, 830 should probably hold if you're going to try to target that up there. Like that could be a possibility. Using old buy side as support for the run. This midpoint, we'll see if it can hold. Like if it can hold, that's fair value gap and keep running. See if that becomes a swing low there. Perfect delivery into consequent encroachment there of that fair value gap. I wouldn't be surprised with even though retesting just right the buy side that we've been stuck at, the low of the daily fair value gap, and then hold the low of it if it doesn't want to break any of these lows here. Run higher. Okay, we do hold that, so we'll see if we start expanding here. We put in the swing low off the midpoint. May want to wick it one more time, but that could be all price needs to keep pushing. As we said, could still test the low of this and hold from there, so not too thrown off by consolidation. Say we displace below, then we'll have a short-term high being cleared, displacement below. Okay, so still testing highs. Yeah, we'll see if we can keep running from that fair value gap. Every time we've broke a high, it's been a wick. So I want to see if we can close above. Right, we create this high, we wick it. We create this high, we wick it. We create this high, trying to wick it now. So we'll see if we get true closure and expansion off fair value gap. Nice. So as you said, lower quadrant of the daily fair value gap would be a good target. Nothing really to aim for anymore, because the last price action created in this was right months ago. Like if we go to 4 hour, we'd have to go all the way back here, February. So at this point, using more so just key levels, sorry, standard deviations, anatomy of fair value gaps. Good morning. Has to be 10:30 as well, so we'll see if this is like the morning range high. If 10:30 comes, we create a high, trade through it, we would expect continued movement in that direction. NQ is unable to do anything really. NQ is still kind of stuck here. So it's making an attempt to like hold this discount fair value gap, but 8:30 now, the same issue we had in ES early on, right? 8:30 rejecting, 8:30 now rejecting NQ. Above that though, we should be able to start, I would say, keep running. Just slow grind. Don't forget, small range here, so we could easily just wick right back into this. We zoomed in quite a bit, but it's only 3 handles. So this could still be retested for sure. Because we closed above this wick though, I'd almost treat that as like the barrier, right? Like you wouldn't want to see, if you're truly bullish, you'd want this to hold. So once we close above it, you'd want to see this be the sensitive area, kind of like we're seeing here, right? So if price was to dip back down, find support there, paired with the down close candle. Buy side target would be, first you have to aim for lower quadrant of the daily fair value gap. And then you'd probably aim for the midpoint. What you can do really is just continue to break these up, right? And use all of those levels. So like you'd go like this, and you just get the main levels. And then within each of these levels, you could almost do the same thing. Right, it's all fractalized. And it'll just give you targets to aim for on the way up. Or like if I was to do this, you can kind of see how it's used, right? Look, first test, perfectly there. Close above it, reaching into where? Second, perfect wick into midpoint. So now, right, we could look for that quadrant here. And then you could do that for really this entire thing. Because in reality, there's not really buy side swing points to target within this. Like, oops. Like if we go back right on the 15, let's use an hourly. This whole fair value gap was created in one movement. So there's nothing in here to target for buy side. Right, so you'd have to use inefficiencies, or as we're saying, I like more so using the actual key levels that are within that fair value gap itself. Interesting. So ES is being allowed to kind of move a little bit, but notice NQ still 830 saying, nah, right, we ain't going nowhere. There we go. NQ, nice little explosive move. So it gets outside of 830. We said we want to see this level here. So after that, if we're going to keep pushing, it's going to go there. Nice, so there's that. I'd watch here. We did miss that one. I was going to try that trade for real. Right, we had the entry in the low. We did have an actual entry like this. Quite literally missed it by a tick. Shame. But we take that. I like to be precise. So instead, we just use the fair value gap, which was nice. From here, though, if we open or at least keep this fair value gap, I'd almost expect a quick another high. Right, hold that fair value gap, run out whatever equal highs were formed here in the short term using that quarter level there. As we said, 1030 creates this candle. If we close above the 1030 candle, price will tend to run in that direction. So that's why I would expect almost a quick continuation. Look for midpoint of that daily fair value gap to be traded into there. So midpoint, we'll see if, right, as we said, if that's a fair value gap that wants to hold at its midpoint, we should see that respect and make one more pass at a high. Yeah, if we want to break lower, this should be high. Right with the wick. That's why it really depends right now on what this does. In my mind, if we hold this, keep running, we'll get into basically midway between midpoint and this, so like that whatever fourth quarter level, and then it may actually want to get into the daily fair value gaps actual midpoint, because right, the higher time frame has pretty much blasted right through that same 5-2. So all these higher time frames have 1 minute did completely regard that though, so we get right back underneath. We didn't get outside of it though, so it still may be able to hold its low and make another displacement move. But we'll see if midpoint now is kind of where it rejects from. If we get right back above, right, we would expect that to run. But if this is an immediate rebalance and then we break again, we should start seeing those lower prices. Right, yeah, there's no swing points in there at all. That's why I say you just got to use the actual objectives. If you don't have swing points to target, you need to use key levels instead. Because yeah, there's no swing points in this. Really, in this whole daily fair value gap, there's not any swing points. We'll see if we can hold that or if it gets lower from there. So we're inside pretty much that area. See if we break. NQ got above. So as we said, NQ was able to displace above its 830 if it pops up. Trading back down into that. This may be where it finds support. If it falls back through that, should target some of these lows. Like a lot of relative equal lows in here now, right on the way up. But we'll see what we get. Starting to consolidate near that key area. Bearish fair value gap. So that may want to hold NQ, which then we would have to rely on midpoint of this holding ES. Dollar still no help at all. Been consolidating, so really just relying off the candlestick structure. Okay, 830 holding. Still really just in the fair value gap. We'll see if it wants to get above it. Just waiting for the breakout side. And then we'd honestly want to see this giveaway as well. If we're going to start expecting lower price delivery, you need to see them both break at the same time, ideally. Like displace away from this and close below this. So we are getting boring. As we said, I'll probably be gone about 5 minutes, another 10 minutes potentially. Got to be ready by 11. So we'll see what plays out here. Honestly, yeah. Could see that. What do they call it? A little flag, a little bull flag. I wouldn't mind one more run, to be honest. At this point, I'd like to see us actually clear this high and then break below this fair value gap. That'd be like best case scenario to get short, is to actually create that false breakout, break back underneath, and then use that to get short. If that was going to be the expectation. So far, though, just holding there. NQ, same idea, just stuck. 830 level, right? Consolidation around 830. We did have that little BPR here, so I'm trying to see if it wants to at least tap that real quick. Right, this little fair value gap. And then that may be what breaks or causes it to break lower. Can we break out? Nope, cannot get outside. Gross. Gross. Okay, that's a break. We said we'd want to see this give way as well. Oh, bless me. Jeez. Because this could still hold, honestly, and then create that run on the high that we were speaking of. We'd almost see if this is an inversion at this point. Right, if we're going to close below, should use it as resistance, see if we can get below this. NQ was able to get underneath 830, so now it's kind of using it as resistance. As we said, a lot of what we call trend line liquidity here, so that'd be easy to run out. ES, kind of the same. Right, we look for lows. Okay, back into it. Yeah, see if we fall through. At this point, I'd actually want to see a run of some type of high in here. We may just break lower, which is fine, but best case scenario, like pick up even these equal highs and then break. Higher time frame, still wicking. That's nice. Okay, so we're starting to fall through. So at this point, we'll probably just use, if we start inverting these discounts as premiums on the way down. Not for entry, no. Like if I was going to enter trying to short one of these inversions, I'd want to see us run at least up into this midpoint. Like if we were to do that, couldn't clear this high, but at least clear some of these and then reject it again, then I would trust it. Oh, stop. But if we just like kind of held this, right, and we just did this delivery where all these highs keep being held as we go lower, I'd probably just watch it go lower and be fine. And then maybe like a sharp break. So far, no entries or anything today. I had one, right, I was going to try this. I was going to actually use the buy side or the low of that. As we said, stop below 830, but we just missed it barely. Instead, it uses the actual fair value gap. I wanted to see it retest the daily fair value gaps low again because that was the sensitive area. And now I'd rather favor shorts, but I'm about to have to leave anyway, so we might just miss. But yeah, for shorts, I'd want to see us at least retest midpoint here. Pick up some type of short-term high. Right, because then we'll find support here. So like we find support here, we trade into it, we leave it, we use it as support. And then if we were to give way, that would be a lot easier to use as an inversion. Right, because this could easily hold and just run higher into this high, into the, what was this? Oh, that's midpoint between the two quadrants. Okay. We've got about 3 minutes until I got to skedaddle, so we'll see. We've just hit that now, so if we can get the quick displacement, like now if we fell through this low, I'd be fine, even if we cleared this high. Yes, Mike, love it. Like it helps out. Oh, jeez. Oh, bless me, god dang. God damn. Okay, let's see. So just said if we end up breaking from here, get back underneath, then I would trust that for short. Okay, well yeah, this will be it for us. So 10:50, just running out of time. Right, gotta go do some stuff. As far as tomorrow, let me just take a quick look. High impact news. Okay, we got the Michigan, so that's a pretty high impact news. So high impact news at 10 o'clock. So tomorrow we'll be back about 9:45 Eastern, just before that, and we'll see what takes place. Yeah, appreciate y'all hanging out this morning. If I had to be around, right, if I could, I'd almost watch and see if we can get above this, reclaim it, trade up into the midpoint, or at least here. Ideally, though, I would still actually favor a pullback into this range. So for me, I try to see, like, right, once we do deliver into this, or I guess even here, I'd want to see some type of inversion, ideally, getting back below these. Right, and then I would have tried to short that into the range. But for the time being, I look for news on, I use my FX book. That's what I like to use for it. Gives you all the high impact news and stuff that you would need. Right, this site. Then I keep it high and medium impact on US only. But yeah, tomorrow we got Michigan, so we'll use that. A few other ones earlier on, but I just look at the latest one. So yeah, appreciate y'all hanging out this morning. Take care. Be safe. Might still have an opportunity, right? This afternoon will play well. So if you guys are around, good luck, good trading, and we will talk tomorrow morning. See you guys, everybody.